Hello everyone, Willith here. Today we'll be judging the World of Warcraft Dragonflight dragons on how believable they are, based on my opinion. I am basing my opinions on the How to Dragon series. If you want to see those, there'll be a link in the description. Now, with that out of the way, let's begin.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
First of all, their wing membrane is way too freaking short. Like, what in the world is this? You really expect to fly on those dainty little things? This is a crime against draconity. Those membranes don't even attach to the body, just the freaking wing joints. Though the blue dragons used to have much longer wing membranes, but apparently they got rid of them in Dragonflight. Like, I just can't express just how bad these wings are. Also, most of their dragons don't have tail fins or lower fins like Toothless. So there is just no way these guys are getting off the ground with sustained flight, nor are they going to be able to steer, at least most of them anyway. They do at least have keel bones, at least sort of. I do think they need a bit more oomph to their chests, so their wing muscles have more to connect to. They also don't have any air sacs or special bone structures that would make them lighter for flying. They just decide to break all laws of physics whenever they take flight. They also hover in midair. I know it's a video game, but come on, man. Hovering is just not something dragons or even birds are capable of doing. With the exception of hummingbirds. So I give them a 0 out of 5, especially since their wings make me cringe hard enough to remember Shadowlands was a thing. There are 5 dragonflights, and really the only difference between them is their colors and abilities. Overall, I like their scales, and they come in a lot of different varieties. Some have plated underscales, some have horns on their necks, giving them some defense, so other dragons or creatures won't be able to bite their necks, or at least make it much less effective. However, as far as I can tell, they don't have sexual dimorphism of any kind. All dragons are random in their appearance, minus their coloration, which is consistent. For me personally, I feel that they should have a bit more of a unique and consistent appearance across the flights. However, that's more of a thing I like, rather than doing that to make them more believable. Dogs, for instance, usually look unique, specifically with their patterns and coloration, though that's depending upon the breed, and especially with mixed breeds. So maybe dragon horns, spikes, hair, and fins are like that. When they are born, they could inherit anything because they all carry those genes. However, most animals carry a very consistent appearance across the whole of their species. For instance, if we let dogs breed in one wild, they would eventually end up all looking very closely the same, and losing their unique traits. However, because the Warcraft dragons live for so long, that would be greatly mitigated. In any case, their scales are quite believable, so I'll give them a 5 out of 5. Now, their magic is pretty interesting. Each flight has a different type of magic and breath. The red flight have a living flame breath that brings things to life. They have the secrets of life and death. They are also capable of rejuvenating and draining life. The blue dragonflight breathe frost and have ice and arcane magic. They're basically dragon wizards. The green dragonflight can breathe either a corrosive acid, noxious gas, or emerald fire. Other than that, they can enter into the Emerald Dream, a nature-realm version of Azeroth, the world the game takes place on. The bronze dragons breathe superheated sand and can control time and see the past and future. They can also enter into different timelines. Finally, the black dragonflight have earth and fire magic and have a basic fire breath. Also, some of the flights have magical scales, such as scales immune or resistant to cold or heat. All dragons can take on a visage form or humanoid form. While I find their magic interesting and fun, it also gives me a bit of a headache. You see, to make magic believable, at least in my opinion, you need to integrate it into people's lives and culture. And to use them properly, they need to have rules and restrictions. This falls into soft and hard magic systems. In my opinion, any magic system can work, but I feel the more rules or the harder a magic system is, the easier it is to make it more believable, and to make it work and to play around with it and explore with it. Some of the dragonflights have very decent magics, like the green or black dragons. The other three, however, their magic's far more complex. The dragonflights are supposed to help the world with their magic, as it was given to them by the Titan Keepers, basically gods in the WoW universe. Anyway, the red dragons could totally end the blight in the Eastern Kingdoms by burning everything and bringing it back to life from undeath, or by breathing their life fire upon crops, feeding the world and trying to end world hunger. But they don't do that, and it's not clear if either of those things are even possible. The bronze dragons are stupid powerful, as they have the power to literally break time and create chaos. The whole timeline has to trust in each and every member of the flight to not abuse their powers. Spoiler alert, they do not. There's a whole expansion of 2 dragons, a black and bronze dragon, making an alternate timeline for another world, and that world ends up invading Azeroth. In reality, I feel like most countries and kingdoms would attempt to wipe out the bronze dragons, as they are just too great a risk, as they can literally control time to however they see fit. Their magic especially needs more rules, or needs to be more explained to be believable. Finally, the blue dragons have the arcane, and with Warcraft, the arcane magic is pretty broken. It can essentially do anything, like teleportation, making any castle or wall utterly useless, or story plot for that matter. Also, they can literally conjure food out of thin air. That could totally end world hunger. Point being, these dragons' magic are a headache to keep track of, and they often cheapen any storyline they are put into, by making timelines or teleporting people to safety or any number of crazy things. It just makes it really hard to believe in the world setting when they're around because they weaken the story, and the developers can't keep track of their abilities and allow their stories to be immersive or believable. They end up having to make MacGuffin artifacts to limit their powers, or make weird scenarios that are hard to swallow and believe because they just seem to be very powerful sometimes, or even way too powerful. With all that out of the way, my verdict is a 1 out of 5. With the new models of the dragons, their teeth and heads are absolutely beautiful. I love them. To me, it looks like they took inspiration from the T-Rex. Their jaws and teeth look like they're meant to be crushing, similar to, T-Rex. Their horns are also really great looking. I love the variety that they have. However, I figure their purpose is for grooming and for distinction between individuals, rather than for defense, offense, or attracting a mate. I'm not the biggest fan of their claws. They look pretty basic to me. Each flight could have different claws and different feet, as they live in vastly different environments, but they all have the same design. So I give them a 4 out of 5. Their posture is a little weird to me. Like, have you seen how close their back foot is to their front foot? It just doesn't feel natural to me. But that's my only gripe about their posture. Everything else is fine. I really like how they all live in different environments, but they never designed them after their environment, which I think is a real shame. For example, black dragons could be smaller as they live in caves, or could have some sort of interesting horn style to help them shift rocks and make caverns. Or maybe they are blind as they live underground. The bronze dragons could be a lot more skinny, as I'm imagining they wouldn't eat a whole lot in the deserts. Or they could be more snake-like or something. Their feet could also be webbed so as not to sink while walking on sand. Things like that. But sadly they don't do anything beyond their color. Finally, I find their sound design to be pretty average. In Dragonflight it's way better, but it's still a little weak for me. So I give them a 2 out of 5. In total, they get a 12 out of 25 believability, which I didn't expect at all. I honestly can't believe they were beaten by the Skyrim dragons. To finish this off, I'll say that I'm pretty mixed about these guys. I grew up with World of Warcraft, so I have a soft spot for these guys and a lot of nostalgia. On the one hand, they are pretty unique given their lore and abilities, but on the other hand, there's a lot of missed opportunities with them, mostly with their design and how their magic is handled. Again, just in my dragon-obsessed opinion. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I can tell they don't have any sexual dimorphism. Ugh, dang. Nature Realm version of Azeroth, the world game, what? However, as far as I can tell, they don't have.